Hello, my friends. Today I am giving you just a voice recording of the week ahead. It is an incredible week, and it warrants a change in the way we've been doing things before. And such, here you go. Here is the information I have been gathering, and what a good place to start organizing the information that we have, because my friends, that is the exact understanding, that is the exact reflection of the Venus-Mars fourth quarter square that we are building into this week, all right? Organizing, Venus in Virgo, is about organizing and enjoying the process of organization. What are you organizing? Well, the data that you have, which is Mars and Gemini. Mars and Gemini is data on a mission. If you've seen the movie Good Morning Vietnam, I saw it recently, and there are many short clips in that movie of typewriters that are moving at like 100 miles an hour. I don't know what the right way to describe typewriter speed is, but it sounds like machine guns. It is a movie about like the military, of course, but Mars and Gemini is like militant writing or machine gun style writing. It is a forceful amount of data that wants to be shared. And when Venus is in this type of square with Mars, all of this data that we have is bursting out of us. And there is a way for it to express itself with Venus, because Venus is that open place in us. It's what we like. It's where we're open. And Venus in Virgo, it needs to come out of a filter. Virgo is very much so a type of filter. There's like a specific ritual that needs to happen in order for this data to come out in a way that Virgo will accept. And that means we need to push it out. This is a growing aspect. Okay, it's only 90 degrees, which means we need to push something out of us. And, you know, you might hear about this transit within relationships, which you can also think about, but I see it so clearly in the way that I organize the data that I have. I mean, look at this. I bought myself a whiteboard, and I'm still figuring out the best way to make use of it. It's smaller than I realized I wanted. I would like an entire wall version of a whiteboard that would probably satisfy my itch. But to be fair, my friends, I am a natal Mars in Gemini myself. I'm also a natal Venus in Gemini. So I'm a pretty Gemini crazy person. I have a lot of things to say and a lot of things that I'm thinking about. But that's where I want to start today, because that's what I'm feeling. And I think this might be where we're having the most direct personal experience in our lives right now. So consider anything that you are doing right now, like in terms of the data, the information that you have, and how you're actually putting it into use. Virgo is all about being useful and being efficient, okay? And that takes me to this, see I have written here, organize your data, right? Venus square, first quarter square Mars in Gemini. So both of these planets right now are ruled by this guy right here, which is Mercury, newly direct in the sign of Cancer. And that means that the data that we are organizing is ultimately emotional. It's reflective. And there is something at stake emotionally in what we are doing right now and how we are processing it. And it is vulnerable. Now you'll see throughout the rest of this video just how much is really depending on this Mercury, it newly being direct. But the basis of this entire reading that I'm going to give is just this, that you must be emotionally honest with yourself, and you must emotionally self-advocate. You must do it for yourself, because that emotional honesty and the self-advocacy, you standing up for yourself, helps you to see your field better. okay? What is your field? On one level, it's like, you can call it your aura. This is you. It's like, this is the energy you carry. You can see reality clearly. You can see your own intelligence more clearly when you're more honest with yourself, right? On the one hand, on the other hand, your field is also like the many, many minds, the many, many other people around you, right? The many different communities of people throughout the world. You see your position easier when you are more honest with yourself. And that's the whole work that we've been doing with this Mercury retrograde in Cancer. Okay? So notice I haven't even gotten to anything about the nodes or Saturn or the full moon yet. Okay? Because this is the most important thing that we must be emotionally honest with and emotionally self-advocate for. I don't know what I meant there, and I know exactly where this is showing up in my life. It's not appropriate to share publicly. And I'm not saying you need to share it publicly. Cancer is a private sign. It's an internal sign. It's the sign of the home. It's not meant for everybody. It's meant for your family. I mean, you can be kind to everyone, but Cancer is protective. It is nurturing. And that's where that self-advocacy has been so important. The self-advocacy piece is the fact that Mercury is very close to a square, another first quarter square to Saturn in Aries right now. Okay? Saturn in Aries is about taking responsibility for yourself. Cancer doesn't necessarily want to take responsibility for itself because it exists within a home, it exists within a family, but a square from Mercury in Cancer to Saturn in Aries says you're offering vulnerable emotional data in order to advocate for yourself. Self-advocacy is a very much Saturn in Aries situation going on. So there's something that we needed to stand up for ourselves, to be honest with ourselves about probably how we're feeling, okay? And here's the thing. I'm, again, belaboring this because the emphasis on this Mercury is not changing throughout this whole week, okay? We are going through a rulership change this week, but it's going to split. We're going to be splitting the load. So that's what I've tried to convey here. In all the green, these are all the planets and the signs they're in right now. And the arrows are showing what the core ruler is, okay? And if you see, we have two circled, Sun in Leo and Mercury in Cancer. Of course, Mercury in Cancer is actually ruled by the moon in Cancer, the moon. But the moon moves very quickly, so I don't read each place the moon is going to go. I let it stop at Cancer just because we need to be in the tidal flow of it. We don't need to intellectualize Cancer further here, okay? So, this week, we have a shift change because on Sunday, the lunar nodes enter Leo and Aquarius. And what that means is it's now time to experiment with our creativity, with our creative wisdom, because we have it. That is a south node in Leo, which means Leo is present. We can access an abundance of Leo because we need an abundance of Leo right now. As we move further into the future of Aquarius, we need to bring our heart. Okay? And so no wonder why we've been doing so much emotional work to return to the honest truth. Because we need to bring an authentic confidence to this time and for the foreseeable future. Okay? What that shift of the nodes entering Leo and Aquarius does is it furthers the dual rulership we have of Mercury and the Sun. Okay? Mercury in Cancer is, as I mentioned, internal emotional. So we're doing mostly a lot of internal reflection, emotional work right now. Even when it's direct, Cancer is a very internal sign. So we're still emotionally processing something private, something vulnerable. We're working on it. But then, now that the sun in Cancer, now that the sun is in Leo, and it's ruling Jupiter in Cancer, and it's ruling the South Node in Cancer. And so, I keep saying Cancer, geez. The South Node in Leo, and Jupiter in Leo. Goodness, that sun is charged up with wisdom and with something from the past, with the South Node. And the sun, in contrast to anything in the sign of Cancer, the sun in its home sign of Leo is about right here and right now. What are you doing? And it's not even something you think about or that we have to answer. Okay, sun in Leo is how you are radiating right here and right now. So, right, that is the whole core of what is going on right now. We have this split rulership where we are emotionally processing something internally that is vulnerable, but we are also finally locked into the present moment here in a way that we are radiating externally, right? So here, this rulership change is just indicating that emotional processing continues, but now we're radiating light outwards too. Okay? In a bigger way, with a deeper well. It's like we're keep pulling light out of a well, which is kind of a weird way to put it. To further all of this, there is a metaphor that I'm going to walk us through for this week from Sunday to Saturday. By the way, last week of July, which is kind of crazy. The metaphor is about like a home renovation. And the intention of this home renovation was to create a new community space in your personal studio. So a lot of my work is geared towards artists, towards people with creative practice, people who already have set aside space for themselves, whether it's an actual physical studio or a part of their room, or it is that you take time for yourself to be an artist, to make your creations for yourself, right? Now, we've been undergoing a renovation that is making a new space within our studio for some community purpose, okay? There's some home renovation going on, some renovation in our personal creative space, okay? So, and that's going on really all the way up until Wednesday, that the renovation is going on. On Wednesday onwards, that renovation is done. We're using it, but let's move back step by step to get there, right? So on Sunday, the nodes retrogress, which means they move backwards because that's their normal motion. They move backwards into the Leo and Aquarius axis, where they join the sun with the south node. The south node and the sun are both in Leo, and the north node will join the same sign as Pluto. This on its own is huge. As I said, it's time, we will feel it is time to experiment with creativity. That is the north node in Aquarius. That's what our direction, our motivation, our evolutionary path forward is, Aquarian. It is time to experiment. That south node in Leo says the thing we are doing, that we are used to doing, is being creative and having our own creative wisdom. We need to bring that through up into Aquarius right now. And I'm saying this, you know, a normal evolutionary astrologer wouldn't say this, because whenever you have Pluto and the north node in the same sign, you usually just let go of the south node. You don't even consider it in the interpretation. But because we also have a planet, which is Jupiter, that's going to be on the south node, it's way too big to miss right now. Okay? So we need the creative wisdom in order to go forward for the next year or so that Jupiter's in Leo, okay? Now, here's the other thing happening on Sunday. Saturn in fellow fire sign Aries is going retrograde, and it will be retrograde for 6 months till December 10th of this year. And this is huge because this is like the renovation I was talking about. Saturn is reality. Saturn is the building block. Saturn is the effort you use in your body to move bricks to create the home that you're going to live in a few years once that building is done. Okay? Saturn going retrograde right now says we started building something new, let's say in February. That was the Saturn-Neptune conjunction where we started to build out a new dream. That was in February of this year. Saturn has gone so far into Aries. Now it's going to start going backwards and cover the same territory, heading back towards Neptune. It's got to go merge with that dream again. It won't conjunct Neptune again, but it's got to go check over all of the bricks it laid in this time to ensure this foundation was strong, to really just go over everything. Lay bricks in the same place that need to be fortified again, for example. This is a dream. It's not a new dream. It's not a new dream because I think we've had it our whole lives. This February was the first time we actually began to feel like we could possibly do it again. But until this day, Sunday, the North Node's been in the sign of Pisces, which means the direction we've been taking to go forward, to evolve in life, has been boundless. Pisces is about infinity and the non-materiality of life, the immateriality of life. Pisces is everything, but it is also everything we don't know and could never know, and everything we already know. So it's not a very reliable in a Saturn or in a Capricorn sense. And so the point over the last few months was to go into possibilities. We're laying the bricks of possibilities, and now we're going to start experimenting. We're actually going to start taking action to experiment with the North Node in Aquarius. Okay? So that's significant. Saturn going retrograde. Saturn's retrograde for like half the year, right? This is like a 6-month thing. So it's not crazy. It's not rare for this to happen, but it's still pretty amazing that it's happening on the same day that the nodes switch signs. The nodes only switch signs once every 18 months. So that's Monday alone, okay? Now back to this house renovation. Sunday, the moon moves into the sign of Capricorn, and when it does, that's when we really are feeling, which is a moon. We are living out our day. We have work to do. Sunday, into Monday, into Tuesday, all the way into late Tuesday when the moon switches signs and moves into Aquarius. And it's not just that, because on Monday, the sun exacts its trine to Neptune, exacts the sextile to Uranus, exacts the opposition to Pluto. The moon in Capricorn is squaring Saturn in Aries and opposing Mercury. So Monday, with the moon in Capricorn alone, we are working. A lot of Tuesday, we're also working. And what are we working on? Moon in Capricorn is ruled by Saturn in Aries. Laying these bricks that we just started going back to ensure have been laid properly with that retrograde. What are we doing? Follow the rulerships, right? Saturn in Aries, ruled by Mars and Gemini. Click-clack, typing, machine gun, communication, something about really using our words as the drive, the motivation. But that drive and motivation is just to continue to express emotional honesty. So this is a house that's being built, or rather the room, this new community room that's being built on emotional honesty. Okay? Everything else happening this day is really enforcing us to click into place, right? The sun in Leo is one of the most present moment, ego-centered positions you can get. I should switch my color. Ego, I love the ego. I'm very pro-ego with the sun in Leo because it tells us what our role is. And that's what I'm going to talk about when I move down here. If I can get through this week, it's going to be a long one. Okay? Sun in Leo is a very strong self-concept. You know yourself with the sun in Leo. We know where we are right now, as I said, up here. We know where we are right here and right now. We know what we have to express. It's making a trine to Neptune, which means that the truth is growing. We have such easy access to it's another, Neptune in Aries is another, that's an N, guys. Sorry, this is crazy. Neptune in Aries is another signature of the truth being within the self in the present moment. Because Neptune is that limitless Piscean truth, and Aries is the present moment, okay? So that trine is an opportunity. That's a triangle. Now, the sextile from the sun into Uranus, it's kind of difficult. I didn't write anything for that, but essentially what I would say is that you're fracturing your identity through using words differently. This one is the one, I won't say it's difficult to understand or express, but the sun in a sextile to Uranus is really about studying your own mind and seeing all the different ways that you talk about yourself. That one singular self-concept, there's duality after duality that's being fractured, fractalized with Uranus. And then, of course, the opposition to Pluto, which is probably the most important thing. The sun in Leo, very close to Jupiter at this time, not exactly conjunct Jupiter, but very close. The sun in Leo, exactly opposite, which is facing a collective death. Now, this is probably the most alive one. And this one, the opposition from the sun to Pluto, is what's going to put us right into this emotional body and make us derive some honesty from the situation, because this is a collective death that is not only happening right now. Pluto is death, Aquarius is the collective. This is not a death that's only happening right now, but this is a death that we have been enduring, I would say, since 2024. Maybe it was an actual group that died, that got disbanded. And all that reflects is a way that you are using your brain that also had to stop. You, like, your own mind, your own connection to other people changes and went through a necessary change in order to bring you into greater self-empowerment. Pluto will take away your power if you're giving it away. So if you were deriving power from a group and not having it inside of yourself, that group got taken away over the last few years. And maybe if you're not directly experiencing that yet, it could be anything you are giving your power to, whether it's a group or not, doesn't matter, but the power was derived in your mind. It was in your own self-concept. That's the Aquarian, is the mind. And really, depending on your chart and if you have placements between 0 to 4 degrees of Aquarius, you'll have felt this more. And I would say in particular also 0 to 4 degrees of the fixed signs. The fixed signs being Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio. Okay, so all of this, the sun looking at this death right now means that we can again see that clearly, probably for the first time in a while, and see our role in it. See that we were giving our power away, but also stand in the present moment where we recognize that we do want to be a part of a group. Individuals always exist within groups. We exist within a collective. Okay? So we've kind of known that somehow, and so we decided to build out a space for the community in our own studio, in our own context, honoring ourselves, having confidence in ourselves, not giving our power away to the community, but having a symbiotic relationship with it. Okay? So that's Tuesday. I mean, this is all happening all week, but what happens on Wednesday is that we have a full moon in Aquarius. At the full moon, the sun exacts its conjunction to Jupiter, which is truly stepping into your creative role. And the emphasis on Aquarius, this is the point I'll make later, basically says your social network is one of the most important things to you right now because it's helping you define your role. But really, you are the one that gets to show it to yourself. It's not like anyone outside of you is going to deem you worthy anymore. You have to deem yourself worthy. That's the healthy Leo expression. Okay? So again, I'll say more about this, but the way I see it, the renovation is finished on Wednesday. There's something that we were able to see fully clearly about this group that we were in, the groups that we want to continue to have a role in moving forward. And here's the thing, this full moon is in a new phase to the Jupiter-Pluto opposition, which means we have a new relationship to the way our creative wisdom is interacting with the transformation of humanity, okay? I'm reading the Jupiter-Pluto opposition like that. Creative wisdom is in personal creative wisdom is in direct relationship with the fact that humanity is changing. The definition of what it means to be a human is changing. Also because each of us are stepping into our own personal wisdom. This is it's funny, the Odyssey's coming out, right? Or it's out, and people describe it as epic. But this is such a weird fractal moment because it is the death of the algorithm with Pluto and Aquarius. Is the death of the Odyssey being the blueprint, because once it becomes so mainstream, like, are we valorizing the hero's journey still? Is that an inherent part of our life? I don't know. These are my questions. But there is this hero's journey that we all need to go on. And the thing is, we're already on it. And we're like facing down the barrel of hell right now. We're not there. We're not in hell. We're actually at the opposite of hell right now. I mean that with this alone, okay? But this full moon being a new phase means we're in a new relationship to this now. We're not dragging our past into the present moment or into the future. We have to step into the creative role that makes space for our community, which in turn makes space for us, okay? So there's like lunar transits that happen through Friday and Saturday. But let me explain this a little more. And then, so I talked about this metaphor of finishing the renovation in a house and having a party. That's like Wednesday. We're having a party. But then there's another metaphor of this transformer suit that I want to talk about, which very much so has to do with this basket situation. You can call it Barbeau's basket. I don't really care. But here's where we go back to the rulerships. If you look at these colors, we have, obviously this is in red, and everything else here is in blue, okay? And we have the same, as I mentioned, we have Mercury as one ruler and the sun as one ruler. But here's the basket. We have this basket, and the way I have been talking about it is actually that each of us are kind of stepping into a transformer's suit. When you step into a suit, you don't merge with the suit, but you're using it, right? So that's kind of the opposition. Like, you're dancing with it, but it's not like you merge with it. Merging would be more of a conjunction. Now, this is the sun in Leo that rules Jupiter. And it's also, you know, Jupiter's right there in the basket, opposing Pluto, trining Neptune, sextiling Uranus. But this is the most conscious place that we have right now, which is our creative role in society. Okay, Jupiter has a lot to do with culture and you know, it is forming a trine imminently to Saturn in Aries. Saturn in Aries is about the civil society that we're in, which means our personal culture, our creative personal culture, there's an opportunity for it within the larger civic society that we are in, which is the unique part of this moment, because we haven't had that Saturn-Jupiter trine. But that's getting kind of beyond the point here for this week, because that trine isn't exact yet, okay? What I want to say about this is that it goes back to the two rulerships we have of Mercury and Leo. So the Leo is obvious. We have a specific creative wisdom that we have made space for. We've literally outfitted our home to now have a space for it. But another way to think about it is look at this basket, right? The three further out planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, they're all ruled by this Mercury in Cancer, which doesn't really give Transformer suit vibe on its own, but Pluto in Aquarius does. Uranus in Gemini definitely does, this trine. And Neptune in Aries says, yeah, we need to create magic out of sheer will and sheer force. But again, it's all motivated by something honest and something emotionally honest. I forgot what the, it like brings like Terminator to mind, but I forgot what the like emotional end of Terminator was. Maybe that's worth looking up. But there's something deeply emotional that's motivating the creation of this suit, this Transformer suit. And then there's something really profoundly creative we have that's going to slot right into that suit. Okay? You see that? So here's what I'm saying. Right? Let's make this even more clear. The red, your role, Jupiter with the sun and the south node is present in Leo. Your role, right? And if you're an artist, the role of your artwork exists, this reminds me of the Kamala Harris quote, exists within your social network. They are inextricable. That's all of this blue. But the like mental and emotional power of the social network, look at how much bigger, how much more space that takes up. So you need to really be confident in your role because it is only you that can fulfill it. Leo is a singular ego that is taking the reins of a transformer suit that's going to let it move into this world and do what it needs to do. And that's not some inorganic timeline. That's our own identity, the own definition, Pluto and Aquarius, of what a human is transforming. Because are we really our bodies? Are we really our names? These are the questions that this asks. Leo says, yes, of course we are. Leo says, yes, we are, and we should be proud of who we are, right? For artists, an artwork, the role of your artwork is that an artwork is a representation of conscious creation, which means this present moment, which means you're not going off of old timelines. You're not going off of old stories in your head, right? And within your field, it's like your field of work. It's your field, you can call it your aura. Did I explain this earlier? I did. That's this. It's your field. Aquarius is the field, right? So creativity holds what I call conceivable space, which is Aquarius. Infinite space is Pisces. Okay? Conceivable space is Aquarius. But here's the thing. That social network and that transformer suit is not some cold, hard, non-human thing. That social network is its own intelligence that you must be emotionally honest with. And advocate for yourself within. Right? Let's look at these rulerships again, right? Emotional honesty and self-advocacy. Mercury in Cancer, which is the emotional honesty and the self-advocacy, is ruled by the full moon in Aquarius, because it's Cancer. That moon in Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and Gemini, is ruled by Mercury in Cancer, is ruled by the moon. We have a social intelligence here that wants emotional input, that not even wants it, it has emotional input. So you need to treat your transformer suit almost like a child that you're raising, that you want to nurture, okay? So the emotional honesty and self-advocacy help you see your field better. That full moon in Aquarius is about seeing the field. You shining your light helps you to see the context, the social context that you belong in, right? This is the week, we're starting out with the moon almost full, and then it's full on Wednesday, and then it's just waning a little bit, but we're in a very full moon time this week, okay? So it just can't be understated, this last piece, that you show it to yourself, and you allowing yourself to lead your own self through emotional honesty, through emotional self-advocacy, takes bravery, because you don't know what's going to happen. Being emotionally honest doesn't mean you're, achieving the deliverables of your company. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I'm going to take a minute and make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I can't emphasize enough this Mercury, even though it's direct, it's still ruling everything until Mercury moves out of Cancer and into Leo. Everything will be ruled by the sun for a while, but we're not there yet, okay? We have to take things 1 week at a time, okay? Later this month in August, it's eclipse season, which is great. I like these eclipses coming up. But even right now, I'm recording this probably as Mercury stationing direct on Thursday the week before, and there's like a pit in my stomach of the like emotional rationalizations that I've made for myself that haven't been the most honest. And now that I'm stepping into this Leo thing, seeing all of this around me, if I really tune into it, I still have sadness. I still have questions unanswered, things that might never be answered. But the point is not to stay, or the point is not to try to force a resolution. The point is to just be honest with yourself so that you can move forward. Because before I was honest with myself, I hadn't stepped into this yet. Or rather, at some point, let's say 2021, I think many people have felt this. You stepped into something big and then it crashed and you didn't want to take that role anymore. And now it's time. The Transformer suit is ready and you have to be the one to step into it. Okay? That is where I'm going to end. I hope this has been helpful. A few announcements. The first is that I'm running a session of Astrology for Artists, which is basically a session where we look at your natal chart and we do the exact same thing I've done here, which is we look at all the rulerships in your chart and we identify in your birth chart what your core rulers are. Okay, because everyone has a birth chart where there are core rulers, and that's where you have to focus because everything feeds through them. And so in the context of creativity and an artistic process, this is so helpful because we can bring that conscious light of the Leo self into this Aquarius process of the patterns that we are running. And from that, we get to change it a little bit. So it's great for artists who might feel stuck in their practice or that they need a shake or they need a reorientation. It's great for people who are into astrology who have maybe a creative hobby but don't know exactly where it fits in other parts of their lives. Secondly, the biggest thing is I am relaunching Chainsaw School. My first batch, return batch, will be in September. And we're going to talk about the first principles. Oops. Bye-bye, Siri. Of painting. Okay, more information I will share about Chainsaw School at a later time, but Chainsaw School really is, for me, this. Okay? So, Chainsaw School is a school that is dedicated to the metaphysics of painting. Okay, so a link to that will be in my description. If you want to join Astrology for Artists, that's August 15th. Chainsaw School is in September. Chainsaw School is not astrologically related, at least not for now. It's a straight painting space, okay? So, let me know how you're going. Go book a reading with me. I have a very good availability this summer. And until the next one, if you've listened this far, let me know down below because I love to have you and I would love to know if this is helpful and resonant, okay? So that is all. Goodbye for now.